Welcome to the Stoic Golden Tribe, where enduring wisdom meets the strength of presence, and where we uncover the truths modern society refuses to teach men. Today, we're diving deep into a topic many avoid, but every man must understand: how to recognize when you and your partner are truly incompatible. Because the hard truth is this: love alone does not guarantee harmony. History, philosophy, and human nature all show us that some partnerships are doomed, not because either person is bad, but because the foundation itself is cracked. From the great philosopher Marcus Aurelius, who wrote about aligning your nature with the right people, to the tragic romance of mismatched historical figures like Henry VIII and Anne Boleyn, the lesson remains the same. If you ignore incompatibility, you invite a slow erosion of your peace, purpose, and self-respect. This video isn't here to make you paranoid. It's here to make you powerful. By the end, you'll know the signs, the truths, and the strategies to protect your time, your heart, and your future. If you believe a man's greatest strength is knowing himself, then give this video a like, share it with a friend who needs to hear it, and subscribe to the Stoic Golden Tribe for more timeless wisdom. And when something resonates with you, drop a comment. Your thoughts might be exactly what another man needs to read. Chapter 1. The cracks you can't ignore. Sign 1. Your core values clash. The first and perhaps most fatal sign of incompatibility lies in values, not hobbies, not tastes, but the fundamental beliefs that guide your life. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." When two people's values are different colors, it's not love that will blend them, but conflict that will stain them. Imagine a man whose highest value is freedom, joined with a woman whose deepest need is constant closeness and control. At first, it might feel like passion, but over time, the very thing that makes him feel alive, his independence, will make her feel abandoned. And the very thing that makes her feel secure, constant emotional closeness, will make him feel suffocated. History gives us a vivid example. Thomas Jefferson and Martha Wales Skelton. Jefferson shared love but diverged in worldviews. While Jefferson was obsessed with liberty and the pursuit of intellectual and political ideals, Martha longed for stability and predictability. The tension between his vision of the world and her vision of the home quietly eroded their union. Before you commit deeply, ask yourself, if we stripped away attraction, could we still stand side by side in purpose? Because attraction fades, but core values remain stubborn and unyielding. When values clash, no amount of romantic gestures can keep the bond from eventually fraying. Sign 2. Different visions of the future. Compatibility is as much about where you're going as it is about who you are today. If two people dream in opposite directions, love becomes a tug of war rather than a shared journey. A man aiming to build a business empire will not thrive with someone who envisions a quiet life off the grid, avoiding risk and ambition. At first, each might admire the other's dream. But admiration turns to frustration when reality demands compromise neither is willing to make. Consider Alexander the Great and Roxana. Their union was forged in passion and politics, but Alexander's unrelenting ambition to conquer the known world left no room for a traditional domestic life. Roxana, raised in a different culture with different expectations, was swept into a life she had not envisioned, and one she could never fully embrace. Their love was real, but their futures were never walking the same road. Before choosing a partner, make sure your life's direction aligns. This isn't about predicting every detail. Life changes, but about ensuring your compass points to the same horizon. Ask, in 5 years, would we still be proud to be walking toward the same goal? Sign 3. Communication styles that collide. It's not just what you say, it's how you say it. Two people can love each other deeply and still fail to understand one another because they speak different emotional languages. Some communicate directly, valuing blunt honesty, while others are indirect, speaking in hints and implications. When these worlds collide, every discussion becomes a potential battlefield. The direct partner feels the other is evasive, the indirect partner feels the other is harsh or insensitive. The annals of history are full of such mismatches. Abraham Lincoln and Mary Todd Lincoln are a classic case. Lincoln, a man of quiet reflection and measured speech, was paired with Mary, whose communication was passionate, sometimes volatile. While their bond endured tragedy and political upheaval, their differences in emotional expression created an undercurrent of strain throughout their marriage. Compatibility isn't about finding someone who speaks exactly like you. It's about finding someone willing to learn your language and you theirs. If every conversation feels like a test you're doomed to fail, incompatibility has already taken root. Drop a comment below if you've ever been in a relationship where your values, future goals, or communication style just didn't align, and tell us how you recognized it. Your story might help another man see the truth sooner. Chapter 2. The subtle frictions that grow over time. Sign 4. Different approaches to conflict. A relationship isn't tested during the easy days, it's forged or fractured in moments of tension. If you and your partner approach conflict in fundamentally different ways, incompatibility will quietly grow like a crack in the foundation. Some people want to resolve issues immediately, believing that silence breeds resentment. Others prefer time to process before talking, believing that rushing into a conversation leads to hurtful words. When these two approaches meet, it becomes a cycle. One feels ignored, the other feels pressured. History shows us the cost of mismatched conflict styles. Winston Churchill and Clementine Churchill loved one another deeply, yet their disagreements were infamous. Winston's tendency to charge headlong into discussions clashed with Clementine's need for reflection and emotional space. The result was a lifetime of carefully navigating arguments, with both sides occasionally feeling misunderstood. Before you commit, pay attention to how a woman handles tension. Does she escalate when you need calm? Does she withdraw when you need answers? These patterns don't disappear, they intensify. Compatibility in conflict style is the difference between building trust and slowly wearing it away. Sign 5. Unequal emotional maturity. No matter how strong the attraction, if one partner has the emotional maturity of a grounded adult, while the other reacts like a wounded child, harmony will be a constant struggle. Emotional maturity means the ability to manage your feelings without projecting them onto your partner. It means taking responsibility for your actions instead of living in perpetual blame. Without it, even small issues explode into unnecessary drama. One of the most telling historical examples comes from Napoleon Bonaparte and Josephine de Beauharnais. Napoleon was a brilliant strategist on the battlefield, but in his marriage, both he and Josephine often acted on impulse. Their jealousies, insecurities, and emotional volatility kept their union in constant turbulence. Passion alone couldn't make up for the lack of steady emotional ground. A man should never settle for a relationship where he must constantly manage another person's emotions at the expense of his own peace. Seek a partner who can regulate herself, admit when she's wrong, and grow alongside you. Sign 6. Mismatched intimacy. Needs physical connection is only one part of intimacy. Emotional closeness, vulnerability, and shared affection are equally vital. When one partner craves constant intimacy while the other prefers distance, it can feel like living in different emotional climates. Early in a relationship, mismatched needs often hide under the excitement of attraction. But over time, the imbalance becomes clear. One person feels starved for connection, the other feels overwhelmed. History gives us the example of Franz Kafka and Felice Bauer. Their long engagement was marked by deep affection in letters but an almost avoidant physical and emotional closeness in person. Kafka's introspective, withdrawn nature left Felice yearning for a deeper presence that he was either unable or unwilling to give. If your intimacy needs differ greatly, one of you will always be compromising too much. This breeds resentment, not closeness. The right partner doesn't just meet your needs, she shares them. Drop a comment below if you've ever been with someone who handled conflict, emotional maturity, or intimacy in a way that felt completely different from yours. What was the turning point that made you realize it wasn't going to work? Chapter 3. When the differences become walls, sign 7, opposing lifestyles and daily habits. Attraction may be sparked in moments of excitement, but compatibility is revealed in the quiet repetition of everyday life. The way two people live, their rhythms, routines, and daily priorities, is one of the clearest indicators of whether a relationship can endure. Picture this. One partner thrives on discipline. He wakes at 5 a.m., starts his day with exercise, plans his meals, and schedules his time with military precision. His partner prefers to follow her mood, waking late, eating whenever hunger strikes, working in bursts of energy between hours of distraction. In the honeymoon phase, these differences can seem charming. His structure gives her stability, her spontaneity gives him excitement. But with time, these contrasts can stop feeling complementary and start feeling like constant resistance. The disciplined partner begins to feel like he's dragging the relationship forward, while the spontaneous one begins to feel like she's being controlled. History gives us a subtle example in the marriage of Charles Darwin and Emma Wedgwood Darwin. Darwin's lifestyle was deeply shaped by his relentless scientific curiosity. He could spend entire days in isolation, lost in observation and writing, with little sense of the outside world. Emma, though supportive, lived for human connection, social visits, and a more balanced family life. She loved him, but there were times when she felt like his work had swallowed the man she married. The danger here isn't that one lifestyle is better, it's that two conflicting lifestyles require constant negotiation. And in relationships, constant negotiation about basic daily habits is exhausting. Over time, what begins as "I love how different we are" can become "we're never in sync." When dating, don't just judge compatibility by how good the big moments feel. Look closely at the ordinary days. Do you both naturally lean toward the same sleep schedule, eating patterns, level of social activity, and pace of life? If your daily lives feel like a mismatch, you'll spend the relationship adjusting to each other instead of growing together. Sign 8. Clashing social and family dynamics. A man must never forget this truth. When you commit to a woman, you also commit, indirectly, to her world. That means her family's traditions, her friends' values, and the social culture she was shaped by. If those worlds clash with yours, you will be dealing with invisible tension that no amount of romantic love can erase. Let's be clear. Different doesn't automatically mean bad. A man from a reserved private background can fall for a woman from a loud, expressive, and constantly social family. At first, the difference can be refreshing, but when holiday gatherings, family decisions, and social commitments pile up, that same difference can turn into a quiet strain that eats away at peace. A prime historical example of this dynamic is found in Prince Charles and Princess Diana. Their incompatibility wasn't just about personal temperament, it was also about their social environments. Diana's upbringing, though aristocratic, was far more emotionally open than Charles's world of monarchy and strict public image. She craved emotional connection and authenticity. He was trained to live behind the mask of royal duty. Their respective worlds became unspoken third parties in their marriage, influencing every interaction and decision until the weight became unbearable. And it's not only family, friends can also create a divide. If her social circle constantly engages in behaviors or values you can't respect, you'll either have to fake acceptance or keep your distance. Both will create cracks. Before you fully invest, spend time in her world. Watch how she interacts with her family. Notice how her friends treat you. Ask yourself, do I feel respected here? Do I feel at ease? Can I imagine years of navigating this environment without resentment? Because a woman might be the perfect fit for you. But if her world is a constant drain, that love will feel like a battle you never signed up for. Drop a comment below if you've ever been with someone whose daily habits or family and social world clashed with yours. What did it teach you about the kind of environment you truly need in a relationship? Chapter 4. The breaking points you can't overlook. Sign 9. Different standards for respect and boundaries. A man's peace is protected by his standards. Without them, he becomes vulnerable to a slow erosion of self-respect. Incompatibility emerges not just when standards are broken, But when they are fundamentally different to begin with, respect isn't just about politeness, it's about recognizing the other person's dignity and protecting it, even during conflict. Boundaries aren't just rules, they're the agreements that keep love from becoming a battlefield. For some people, respect means never speaking harshly no matter the situation. For others, respect means telling the truth bluntly, believing that honesty, even if it stings, is the ultimate form of care. If you're a man who values direct honesty and she values gentleness above all, there will be moments when your sincerity feels like aggression to her. And if you value personal space while she values constant togetherness, your need for breathing room may feel like rejection to her. One of the most vivid examples of incompatible boundaries can be found in the turbulent relationship between Frida Kahlo and Diego Rivera. They loved each other with intensity, yet their definitions of loyalty and personal freedom clashed endlessly. Rivera, a passionate artist with an unconventional view on relationships, believed infidelity did not diminish his love. Kahlo, while also fiercely independent, carried a deep expectation of emotional and sexual loyalty. The result? A bond that oscillated between passionate reunion and painful betrayal, each cycle cutting deeper than the last. Incompatibility here isn't always about bad intentions. It's about living by different relationship codes. If your code says that raised voices are disrespectful, but hers says it's just how I express myself, you're not just arguing about behavior, you're arguing about the rules of the game itself. A man who ignores repeated violations of his standards isn't being understanding, he's eroding his own identity. Before you commit deeply, define what respect looks like to you and what boundaries are non-negotiable. Then observe, don't explain, observe whether she lives within those boundaries naturally, not just when she's trying to impress you. If a woman has to fight her nature to meet your standards, incompatibility is inevitable. Sign 10. Incompatible growth rates. One of the most underestimated, most dangerous signs of incompatibility is when two people grow at different speeds or in completely different directions. Growth changes priorities, perspectives, and even personality over time. If your evolution is not in sync, love can slowly turn into distance. Growth rate mismatches often sneak in quietly. In the early days, both partners may be at similar stages of life, but as time passes, one begins to read more, train harder, save money, build a business, or heal emotional wounds, while the other remains stagnant, clinging to comfort and routine. The challenge isn't that one is better than the other. It's that their worlds slowly stop overlapping. Shared conversations shrink, shared goals fade. The faster-growing partner begins to feel lonely, even in the relationship. We see a cautionary tale in the marriage of F. Scott Fitzgerald and Zelda Fitzgerald. In the roaring 1920s, they were the dazzling couple of the age, celebrated, adored, and seemingly invincible. But Scott's relentless pursuit of literary immortality demanded discipline and focus, while Zelda's restless spirit sought expression in dance, art, and high society. Their growth paths didn't just diverge, they pulled in opposite directions. The connection that once made them magnetic became a reminder of how far apart they had drifted. And this truth is worth repeating. Growth doesn't always mean upward. Sometimes a person's growth takes them deeper into wisdom, while another's path leads them deeper into distraction. That's when one partner begins to feel like they're dragging the other along, a burden no love can carry forever. Choose a woman not just for who she is now, but for who she is becoming. Look at her habits, her hunger for self-improvement, her resilience in the face of challenges. Ask yourself, will she walk beside me as I grow? And will I walk beside her? Because if one of you accelerates while the other resists motion, the space between you will widen until neither can bridge it. With final reflection. Before the outro. These last two signs, mismatched respect, boundaries, and incompatible growth rates, are often the final straws in a failing relationship. The other signs can sometimes be worked through, but when you can't agree on what respect means, or you can't keep pace in personal growth, the relationship's foundation becomes too unstable to hold. The wise man doesn't wait for these incompatibilities to fix themselves. He observes early, decides clearly, and moves with courage, even if it means walking away from someone he loves. Because in the end, compatibility isn't about finding perfection. It's about finding a partner whose nature complements yours in ways that allow both of you to thrive. Drop a comment below if you've ever had to walk away from someone you deeply loved because your standards for respect or your pace of growth were just too different. What did that experience teach you about yourself? Incompatibility isn't about failing. It's about finally seeing the truth. You can love someone deeply and still realize your paths aren't meant to run together. The strongest men know when to hold on and when to let go. Love should be a partnership, not a prison. Protect your peace, your purpose, and your principles, because without them, no relationship will feel like home. If this spoke to you, give the video a like, share it with someone who needs to hear it, subscribe to the Stoic Golden Tribe for more timeless wisdom, and drop a comment below. Tell us which sign hit you the hardest. Until next time, walk with strength and never trade your peace for companionship.